You've tuned into another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Whistle, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now, your host, Melissa Whistle.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thanks for stopping in. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. This week, I've invited the city's Wastewater Treatment Plant Supervisor, Steve Curmode, to join us. Steve is responsible for keeping our toilets flushing and the sewers flowing. The wastewater treatment plant is, in fact, one of the city's most expensive and most critical assets, and we need to keep it in good operating condition. Steve, welcome back to the break room.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We've got a lot going on constantly all around the city, but you keep real busy down there at the end of Iberia Street. Other than watching and making sure that the toilets are flushing.
Yeah.
Tell me about what all you got going on down there.
Well, the biggest thing we have right now is the headworks at the beginning of the plant, where all the sewage originally comes into the plant, and we take all the rags and the grit out of it. That's being rehabbed. It's in pretty sad shape, and it's going into a major rehab without tearing it down. We're doing something unique with it, where we're not knocking it down. We're just rehabbing what we have and adding some more equipment to it.
How old is our system, could you say?
That piece of equipment's from back in the early 80s.
Okay. Now, I will say, people have heard me say this if they listen to this interview at all ever when we talk about stuff going on at the wastewater treatment plant. I find it the most fascinating one of the most fascinating. But when I first started working for this city, I came down to the wastewater treatment plant, got a tour, and I've never thought the same about what happens when I flush my toilet. And you just said rags and grit. You said that like it's just such a matter of fact, like, oh yeah, rags come in and trash, all kinds of stuff. And this is where basically the headworks is where everything goes. It's the first stop after it makes its way through all of our sewer pipes when it comes to the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, everything come from the lift stations gets pumped into the plant and goes up to the top of the headworks so that we can get gravity flow down through the plant to save energy. Because we use an awful lot of energy because we've got a bunch of pumps. And
how much water does it push? Or is it water that you would call it your gallons? Or
we're rated for 4.95 million a day coming in. We average about 3.5 million a day coming in. We're on a scale of wastewater treatment plants across the country. We're a smaller plant, but for what we have, that's a significant amount of flow.
And the headworks it's kind of like a conveyor belt, sort of. No, it comes through, and the first thing it does is it runs through the screening, which removes the rags, which would be toilet paper, non-flushable wipes, other things that debris,
paper towels, that kind of thing.
Sanitary products that shouldn't be flushed.
Yeah, sanitary products are a big issue there. Yeah. It takes it out of the stream so that the equipment that's downstream can process the biological waste that's actually in there, because that's what we're actually supposed to do, is biological waste. If you come down and you take a tour at the plant, we talk about we're actually not a place that removes human waste from the system. We're actually a microbe farm that processes the waste that comes in. And when you take a tour, if you think about it as a microbe farm, you can understand our processes a whole lot better. And we talk about that at the beginning of our tour, so that it's clearer. Because we do tours for the colleges, we do them for the high schools. Occasionally we do tours for the general public. It really comes down to your office and how that works.
Right. Well, we had to put our tours on hiatus when we do those for City Government Week because of COVID.
Yes.
So I am hoping this year, and City Government Week is in October, I am hoping that we can do that again. I really do. And you'll see the signs on the trucks that say your toilet is not a trash can. That's that same idea. I really do think it's so important to see that. I don't think I've often talked to Glabra too about flushable does not mean biodegradable.
No, it means that it fits in the pipe.
And then it goes through to your headworks and it gets sucked into that.
There's a lot of things that'll fit down the pipe that shouldn't go down that pipe.
Which is why we say your toilet is not a trash can.
Yeah, exactly.
So this headworks project, it's going to be a refurbishment. Is it going to be faster? Is it just more up to date?
No, it'll be much more efficient.
Okay.
The grit system we have right now is very inefficient because Florida has a particular type of grit that it needs a specific technology to remove that small of a grit. We have more of a silt type grit in Florida,
Okay.
where up north you'd have like little pieces of granite and stuff like that. We're more like really small sand and stuff.
So is it kind of like the how big the mesh would be, so to speak, about what gets through it?
No, actually it has to do with how slow you make the water stop before it starts to speed back up again.
Okay.
How big of a containment area and the cone system and some other stuff that goes in there. They do it with cyclone degridding, some other stuff like that, different technologies. And in the process of doing this headworks job, we've actually had really intense studies done on what size of mesh do we need for the rags,
Okay.
and what type of technology do we need for the grit, so that we don't end up right back where we are because we just arbitrarily threw something in there because an engineer told us that's what it should be.
Right. And so you're talking about refurbishing, repair, instead of replacement. What's the cost we're looking at in doing what we're doing as opposed to what it could be?
The cost for the refurbishment is going to be somewhere around $4 million.
Okay.
If we were to tear it all down, we could be upwards of 10 or 15 million.
Okay.
The engineering company that's involved with us, it's innovative enough that they actually are presenting at the wastewater conference for Florida.
Oh, wow.
In a couple of weeks about what we're doing, because there's a lot of people all over the state that are interested in this.
So it's really it's efficient in that it's saving us money, but it's also an efficient system. So we're not just putting a Band-Aid over it.
Exactly.
If you're just now tuning in, you're listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine, and we're talking with Steve Curmode. He's the supervisor down at the Wastewater Treatment Plant, and we are talking about the wastewater treatment. You were mentioning the outreach and the tours. You also have some other things that you are responsible for the plant itself. You've done a lot of work down there getting hardening. We call it hardening, which is mitigating and preparing and keeping it ready for storms.
Yeah, it's we try to keep everybody who's been around the city for more than about 5 to 10 years remembers Matthew and Irma and what kind of issues we had here. And throughout the city, after those storms, we had major problems in the lift stations because the water got in and destroyed the electrical system. The wastewater treatment plant was spared a lot of that because we're a little higher than the rest of the city on the eastern side. And but we had an engineering firm come in and do a study on the city to determine where things should be, and they determined that I need to protect my plant to about 12 feet of sea level rise, 12 feet above sea level for the storm surges and stuff like that for a Cat 3 to a Cat 5 storm. And the price of doing that with what would have been a sheet pile wall, a 25-foot sheet pile wall, would have been close to $5 to $6 million at that time.
That's literally putting a wall around it.
An entire wall made out of corrugated metal.
Okay.
Something that would shine in the sun and really annoy everybody.
Right. And be an eyesore from the shore.
Yeah.
Or from the water side.
In researching all of this, I found another way to do this with bolt-up panels that are lightweight. My people can do them really fast, and the whole price was about $145,000.
Wow.
And it protects me up to 12 feet above sea level.
And it's really like you bolt in these panels
Yeah, they bolt onto the wall.
They
cover the doors.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest issue is I have right now. I'm trying to figure out how to make this work. Is with my generator, because when I bolt up around the generator, I cut down the ventilation around the generator and it overheats. So I'm working on that last little part right now, just to fine tune that.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at a possibility of changing out the generator in the next, 3 to 4 years.
Right.
That will eliminate the need for doing it with the generator, because the new generator will be elevated. So it's always something constantly challenging me down there. And
Yeah.
It's fun.
And you're no stranger to this in terms of securing hardening. You've been through, I heard a crazy number, 52 hurricanes?
I've been through 52 named storms.
Named storms,
Yes.
okay. 52
I
named
spent
storms.
26 years in Fort Lauderdale, and that's Hurricane Alley.
Right.
And, some years there'd be 2 or 3 of them we'd have to do. And you have to go through the process of buttoning up the entire plant, because the wastewater plant is central to being able to live as tightly packed as we are, because
Right.
you can't put the amount of waste we create on the dirt
Right.
and have good groundwater.
Yeah. Doesn't
So-
really work that way.
No, it doesn't work out really well.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you with us.
Yeah. And so protecting that plant down in Fort Lauderdale, it's a pretty big project, because it's a 55 million a day plant,
And we're
and
4.95,
and we only have a few buildings, and down there that plant down there
Right.
is basically on the same footprint, but it's wall to wall buildings, and every
Right.
building has to be dealt with, and every process has to be dealt with.
Well, I'm going to put in a last pitch here before we have to go that people should stay tuned later this year when we open up. Hopefully we can open up again for some wastewater treatment tours. And you give a great tour. You tell us all we ever needed to know or wanted to know or didn't want to know about all the biology that goes into what you do. It's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. We built a brochure so that what I can't tell you in the amount of time, I can overload you with more.
Excellent. Well, we certainly appreciate the work that you do, keeping our sewer water and our wastewater coming in, flowing, keeping our toilets going. And we'll look forward to an update on that headworks. Thanks for coming by, Steve.
Okay.
As we wrap up another edition of The Break Room, I hope we answered your questions. If we didn't, take a minute and drop an email. You can send that to info@citysanog.com. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. In order to stay connected, you need to be connected. Follow us and engage with us on our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @CitySanog. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Whistle, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by communications specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.